Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video I'm bringing you another wolf. I had an influx of wolf commissions, so expect some more wolves coming up in my YouTube channel, but this one was for a leopard wolf, so stay tuned. So first off, we're starting with that resin cast that I have sculpted out of monster clay, molded in silicone and then cast in resin. So this is an original sculpture that is cast in resin. And I'm starting off by painting the black around the eyes, nose and mouth, and I've had a lot of comments saying, "Hey, your paint job is messy, blah, blah, blah." And the reason why it is a little bit messy right now is because I'm going to be covering a lot of the face with fur, so there's no point being too particular about where the paint is going because a lot of it is going to be covered in fur. So I thought I'd address that first so everyone knows what the deal is with that. Alright, so I'm going to be painting the irises a nice metallic blue colour, and I'm using Lumiere paint by Jacquard in a metallic blue, and this is really great quality paint, highly recommend again, and it has, this particular blue one is nice and has a great coverage. So moving on to doing the pupils, and again I just use a dry brush technique and just build up upon layers so you get a nice feathering of the pupil and it's not so stark and looks too painted. So yeah, definitely do some layers because it gives it a nice depth to the eye. So the commissioner wanted a wolf that had snow leopard markings, so I decided to go with just a white coat and add the snow leopard markings later on. That way I can control where the markings go, and it also is very hard to find a longish coat with leopard markings on it. So moving on to painting the paws, and again this is a resin cast of an original sculpture by me, and I'm just putting the black paint on the bottom, and then a lot of this will be covered in fur as well, so again I'm not being too particular about the paint job. So this is the fur that I'm going to be using for the wolf, and you can see I've already cut out all of the pieces to be sewn together, and this is a particular white fur that I use quite a lot throughout my dolls, so it has a nice texture, it's nice and thick and it's really good quality, so I tend to use this fur a lot for different creatures. But using the ends of the fur, you get this weird little gluey bit, so I tend to cut it off because nobody wants that on their dolls. So again, when you're cutting fur, you only cut the backing and not the pile of the fur, and once you've done it a few times you get the hang of it, and that way you can go a little bit quicker. So I'm going quicker because I've cut a lot of fur in my time, so I know where I'm cutting, and that way you get a nice clean cut and you won't chop any of that pile off, making it useless. Then when you're grabbing the fur off, you just grab it in clumps and it gets any excess fur off. So you can see how nice and clean that cut is there. Okay, so I'm going to go and sew through the sewing machine, and here's what we have so far. So it needs to be turned the other way around, and so I have the back end open so I can flip it inside out, or the right way around, and here's what we have so far. So I'm then going to make an armature and put it in the body and attach the resin pieces to the armature. And once we have attached all the pieces, I'll then go and sew up all the open ends with a ladder stitch. And you could probably do a YouTube search for a ladder stitch and just read up about it better than I can actually explain what it is. But it's basically going to and fro each piece of open fabric. And then once we have it all sewn up, I will go in and attach that fur to the resin using some tacky fabric glue, and you can find any tacky fabric glue at any local craft store or even online. Mine is from a Spotlight store in Australia, so you can head there and get the same glue if you're looking for that. And once everything's sewn up, I then can add some of those little rosette spots onto the body. And I'm using a fabric marker from Sharpie, and they're really great when you want to add little small details to something, but I do plan on doing a video very soon about adding colour to furs and stuff, so I just have to find the time to do it. But this is really great, but once it is slightly dry, you don't want it to fully dry, you want to be combing it out. But again, I'll do a tutorial and stuff in the future about using these pens and any other fabric dyes. So once this is done, I will then fur the face, and I'm not going to do a tutorial on furring the face just because it's something that is very unique to my dolls. So here's what we've got so far after I furred it and gave it a trim. So I'm going to be adding some of those markings to the face, and it's the same deal as the body, using that same Sharpie texture and just adding some little spots here and there. I also like to add a little bit of shading to the doll's face. It just gives it a bit more character and it's a bit more realistic as well. So I usually do it around the ears and the nose and the mouth and around the eyes as well. So I wanted to do a wolf leopard hybrid for a long time, so I'm glad this commission came up and I got to do it. So here's what we have after I've added all the markings, and then the commission asked me to add some blue lines to the face like my other rain dance wolf, so I said yes, we can certainly do that, and then here we have it. What do you guys think? Alright, that is it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. If you have any requests, you can leave it in the comments down below. You can also check me out on Instagram and Facebook at Creatures of Nat, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!